the American is looking pretty good this year, I would say, and there's not enough conversation about it.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of back when I was in 2019 when we had SMU, Memphis, and Memphis went to a New Year's Six bowl game. Their only loss during the season was to your Temple Owls, which I was a part of. Um, and I just think when you look at them right now, just we with Cincinnati, everybody was so good, and I think the top three teams right now, Tulane, um, Memphis, and USF, are really, really just really, really good teams, not just in the American, but in all of college football. And if you look at the ACC right now, SMU, who came from the American, actually in their tenure did never ever went to two conference championships in the American, and now they have a chance to go to two ACC. And then if you look at Tulane beat Duke, and Duke has a chance to go to the conference championship too. So if you stack those teams up, that conference is up against each other. In a lot of ways, the American is better than the ACC. And then if you look at the Big 12, you have three teams in the Big 12 in my mind, which are, Tech, which is, a top team, that is a playoff team and is going to win the Big 12 in my personal opinion. Then you have BYU and then you have Utah, which are a step below, but in a lot of ways they're not on the same they're very comparable. They are on the same level, and I think is that the American is really, really looked down on, and I think is an example with Memphis is, when they lost to UAB, everyone instead of saying, wow, maybe the American is really, really good, everyone says, oh, well, the American's not, Memphis isn't very good. And that's not the reality.
Yeah, and that's what us independent people need to kind of start to push back against is the way we frame some of these losses. It seems like outside of maybe one certain conference, we see the larger media networks want to push an agenda for certain upset losses where they want to immediately kick down a Memphis, kick down a USF for an upset loss, or even kick down Tulane for an upset loss. But then you turn around, you look at a different conference, and they're like, oh, well, it just shows how deep the conference is. I think there's a little bit of truth in the depth conversation with any conference. I think you go to the Alamo Dome, you're in for a rough game. You play UAB, a team that was just fired up, and you could be in for a rough game. And I think it really just goes to show like the American is just so deep this year. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it really is. I think the teams they added were really good ads. I think like a team like UTSA is they're really, really talented, and they have all that talent in Texas and everywhere. Even teams like Rice and Temple, they really surprised. They really improved from where they were last year. Um, and I think is that the conference is really has done a really, really good job, and I think it's a lot better than people think. Um, and I don't know how to get that attention. And people say, "Oh, watch this and compare it." But I think is we should do based off of even in the beginning of the season, go based off of who plays who out of conference. And when you look at BYU and Utah, yeah, BYU played ECU, but if you look at Arizona's out of conference schedule is not very difficult. So it's really, really hard to say who's the best conference because these conferences aren't playing anybody. I mean, Kansas State lost to Army, and Army's not even a top team in the American. I think they're in the bottom,
Yeah, they're a
so
team. They're a team scraping towards a bowl game right
they beat my Owls this last weekend
now.
though.
That was a pretty rough loss for your Owls. I saw the
14-13 to Army, and I think it was like 31-30 to Navy, or 29-30, something like that. And then Tulsa beat Oklahoma
Oklahoma
State.
State. Yeah.
So, I mean, the American really has, and then USF beating Florida. But I think USF is the best team, the best group of five team by a long shot, in my opinion. Not a long shot, but I just think JMU, JMU hasn't played really anybody over 500. And I think the Mountain West is not very good.